The Sunday pasta. Today we are going to make penne al gorgonzola. If you go to the book Sunday Pasta, page 94, you'll see a beautiful picture by my friend Fabio Paparelli, and a very simple recipe. And we're going to do the whole thing in 10 minutes because I think 10 minutes is as long as I want to do this and as long as you want to listen to me. And it's a really simple recipe. But we're going to move fast and we'll whisk through it. First thing we're going to do is get the water boiling, which I started doing. Big pot of water with salt in it. And today we're going to use a penne. Any short tubular pasta will do, but today we are using a penne from the Pastificio Martelli, which comes from the hills outside of Pisa in Tuscany. So last week I talked a little bit about pasta from Gragnano, the town south of Naples where dry pasta is really famous. But this family, Martelli, has been making pasta since 1924, and they're a family-owned business. The whole business is family-owned. They do it the old-fashioned way, bronze-dyed, dry it by hand, 50 hours of drying. So the result is an incredibly porous, firm pasta, which is really delicious. And I got it from my friends at Gustiamo in New York, up in the Bronx, and they're an importer of fine Italian products. It's a little bit pricey, but it's completely worth it if you ask me. So you can go to sundaypasta.com to the recipe for penne al gorgonzola. It's actually pennone there because we use a bigger penne, but gorgonzola, the recipe, and a link to Gustiamo to see to buy the pasta if you want to try it. It's really great. So first thing we're going to do is get the water boiling, which we did, and we're going to cook the pasta for 10 minutes, about the time that we're here. So pasta's in here. While it's boiling, we'll get to it. I call it penne gorgonzola because that's the dominant flavor is the gorgonzola cheese. But there are actually 4 cheeses in it. There's a gorgonzola, obviously, and today I'm using gorgonzola dolce, which is a creamier gorgonzola. You could use gorgonzola picante, which tends to be a little bit stronger taste and also more crumbly. I like this because it melts a little bit better, but both are great. And if you can see the picture in the book, we have crumbles of the picante on top. We're also using a fontina cheese, which comes from Val d'Aosta in northwestern Italy. So fontina is really a great melting cheese, and it comes from Val d'Aosta, which is in the corner that borders France and Switzerland. So it's a heavily French-spoken part of Italy. And fontina, probably they say, is the basis for a fondue, a French fondue, because it melts so easily. So it's a creamy, more mild cow's cheese, but it's also DOP, protected from that area. The gorgonzola, of course, comes from Lombardy, from near Milan. Gorgonzola is a part of Milan, a small town outside of Milan, which is now part of the city. But the areas of Piedmont and Lombardy are where gorgonzola comes from. We're going to be also adding a little mascarpone, which is an Italian cow's milk cheese also. But it's like an American cream cheese, if you will. It just adds a lot of creaminess to it. And of course, Parmigiano Reggiano from near Parma. So you can get the mascarpone in an Italian specialty market or really any supermarket now. If you didn't know, when you sweeten it up, it's the basis of tiramisu, and when you add salt, it's also a more savory cheese that's great for cooking. What you're going to do is take some cream and butter, and we're going to melt it into a saute pan. 2 ounces of butter with half a cup of cream, heavy cream, light cream. You could actually use milk if you wanted to, just something to add some liquid to it. Once that's melted, we're going to start adding our cheese, both the mascarpone and then the gorgonzola and the fontina. Really, this whole thing could be done in 10 minutes with a little prep time. And our pasta is going to cook for about 7 or 8 more minutes. You got to cook till al dente, as you know. Meanwhile, we'll talk about the wine pairings. Because the cheese is, or the sauce is so creamy and unctuous, if you will, it's good to cut it with some wine with some acidity. So we have 2 choices for you. One is a rosato, which is an Italian rosé from northern Italy. And rosatos are made with red grapes, so it's both a little acidic It's got a little texture because of the bubbles, and it's also a little fruity. So it contrasts really well with the cheese. Obviously, like cheese and fruit goes well together. The alternative, of course, is a heavier red wine like a Amarone, which is a very heavy wine from northeastern Italy, from Veneto. But today I'm having a Valpolicella, which is what they make Amarone out of. It's a little bit lighter, but it'll do the trick because it's nice and fruity. And I would be lying if I didn't tell you that I sampled a little bit before we got started. It's delicious and it's really great. So one thing I should also tell you for anyone who's worried about fat and cholesterol, there was an article today in the Daily Mail which has again said that fat from cheese is actually really good for you. It combats type 2 diabetes. So luckily, fat is back in fashion. So, but if you eat like an Italian, you're going to have a little bit of this, a little bit of wine, a little bit of salad, and take a walk, and it's going to be a really healthy combination, regardless of what modern science tells us. All you have to do is look at the Italians and know that they're pretty healthy people. So we'll get the mascarpone melting. And then we'll add in the fontina and the gorgonzola. As you can see, I cut it into small pieces. If you want to spend some more time, you can cut it into smaller pieces. As long as it's meltable, that's really all that matters. The smaller the pieces, the easier it is. I'm kind of using a bigger frying pan here than I probably need because I like to put the pasta into it later. And also because it's better for camera, but you got the idea. So what we're going to do is just melt this for a couple minutes. And it'll take 2 or 3 minutes to melt. And then it'll thicken up a little bit as well. So, careful not to burn it, of course. But as you can see, this pasta is often called a macaroni ai 4 formaggi, which is a 4-cheese pasta. So the truth is that you could play with the cheeses and the quantities depending on what flavor you want. If you want more gorgonzola flavor, lessen the amount of the other cheeses and put a little more gorgonzola. And if you really like gorgonzola, use a gorgonzola picante. If you want just a hint of the gorgonzola, obviously lighten it up and put in more mascarpone, which is the smoothest of all the cheeses. So as you can see, it really does melt quickly. Almost becomes like a fondue. You can imagine, so fontina, as you can imagine, is also used, besides in fondue, it's also used in a lot of sandwiches and a lot of panini because it melts really well. So it's also really smooth and creamy once it gets melted. That looks perfect. We're going to add in our Parmigiano, 4 ounces of Parmigiano. Again, all these cheeses today that we're using are DOP, which are from a protected origin, meaning that they're from an area of Italy where the process has been used for centuries and is now registered in Italy and in the EU as a protected type of food. So Italy has more DOP foods than anybody in Europe, actually, at this point. Everything from prosciutto di Parma, the mozzarella di Campania, to a lot of the cheeses, including Gorgonzola, Fontina, and Parmigiano Reggiano. Mascarpone is not. It's a pretty widely used cheese, but you get the idea. So you really don't need any salt because all the cheeses are a little salty, especially the Gorgonzola. You could put some pepper on at the end, which is what we'll do. And like I said, I like to have this with a little salad before or after because I love salad with cheese. And it's also great with a little wine. What's next? We have about another minute for the pasta. It's really funny because if you read the package in English, the English instructions say that you use a gallon of water and one ounce of salt and cook it till it's al dente, which they don't give you the time, but it's about 10 or 12 minutes. The Italian instructions simply say cook the pasta until it's done and then enjoy it without sauce or with sauce. It's that's super al dente, but we'll give it another minute, even though I said we'd be done in 10 minutes, we'll be done in 11 or 12. Sebi, do we have any questions? No. Okay, so think that's it. Let's get the pasta out of here. Then all I can do is drain it straight into the pot. These pots are great for like 1 pound of pasta. If you need more, there's not enough water and there's not enough, it usually boils over, but if you're just using a pound of pasta, they work really well. You can see the pasta, delicious, very al dente, which is the way I like it. Put it right into the sauce. On a low flame, just to keep it hot. And mix it all together. As you can see, it is a rich, creamy sauce that is better than any mac and cheese you will ever, I wouldn't even call it that, but that you can imagine. And what we're gonna do is serve it up. Like I said, nice portion. We'll put a little black pepper on it. I like a lot, up to you. And we will marry it with a little Valpolicella. And geez, I'm sure it's delicious. I hope I don't burn my mouth on Facebook Live. Buon appetito, everyone, enjoy. Mamma mia.